Welcome, everyone. I call the January 17th City Council meeting to order. Mayor Polly has an excused absence this evening, so I, Council President Walsh, will be serving as Mayor Pro Tem. As a reminder, we continue to have a remote aspect to our meetings, and so both staff and members of the public may be participating in tonight's meeting remotely via WebEx. And the first item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I welcome everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is audience comments. Members of the public may address council at this time in person or virtually. Those who signed up in advance to make comments will be called on first. If you're joining us virtually and would like to make comments, please raise your virtual hand or send the host a chat message. If you're on the phone, you can press *3. If you've joined by computer or smartphone, you're going to look for the hand icon. If you're in the room and did not sign up, I will ask for other speakers before closing this portion of the meeting. Clerk, do we have anyone signed up to speak for general audience comments?
Yes, we have one virtual attendee and one in-room attendee.
Excellent. For those making comments, please direct comments to the whole council and not individuals. While this is not a question and answer session, we will contact you to follow up if needed. When recognized, if you're virtual, you can unmute your microphone or step up to the lectern if you're in person. State your name, address, and relationship to the city. Speak clearly and pause frequently, and limit comments to 5 minutes. If you're attending virtually and do not respond after your name or phone number is called, or if your connection is lost unexpectedly, the meeting will need to proceed. You're encouraged to rejoin the meeting if able. Personal attacks, obscene language, derogatory remarks, and disruptive behavior will not be permitted. Citizen comments, written and verbal, are an important aspect of the public process, and the city takes comments seriously, and we thank you for taking the time to address us. So, Clerk, would you please identify the first person who has signed up to speak?
Yes, someone titled Executive Director, a virtual attendee. I will be making you a panelist now.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We can, thanks.
Excellent. Dear Madam Mayor and esteemed City Council and City staff, I have seen some of you at January events and functions. If not, Happy New Year. I'd like to speak to you tonight on 2 topics. First, I'd just like to share with you a couple of the 2022 year-end success stories from each of DIA's 4 committees. The Economic Vitality Committee worked tirelessly with businesses and partnered on 79 economic impact programs, bringing over 30,000 people to the downtown district in 2022. DIA strengthened the scope, quality, and diversity of these events, which included the 16th annual Fenders on Front Street and Down Home 4th of July. One of the business owners shared with us that during Fenders, he had 260 receipts, and in a normal weekend, he has 120. So that was a huge boost to his bottom line. The design committee funded, hung, and maintained over 100 flower baskets downtown and spearheaded the Parklit pilot program, with over 700 people enjoyed outdoor dining along Front Street. Going back to the flower baskets, our 2023 funding campaign has now started. The promotion committee championed downtown businesses through engaging features and shout-outs. The committee continues to promote the downtown and creative arts district through robust marketing channels, directly reached over 320,000 people in 2022 and added over 40% of new followers across all channels. Lastly, the Outreach Committee recruited and organized over 400 volunteers who logged over 9,000 total volunteer hours, which is an increase of 35% from 2022 totals. I'd like to switch gears now and talk about AB 8522, which is on the consent agenda. Community Investment Strategy Park Project Design and Construction Management Contract for Downtown. DEA supports this important capital investment in the Old Town District, and we ask that this topic be brought to regular business to specifically include how Old Town merchants and businesses might be impacted by the project. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. And clerk, do we have anyone else signed up?
Yes, Connie Marsh would like to make comments.
Fantastic. Connie, go ahead. Thanks.
I tried this the other night and it went wah, 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 wah. It was scary. Good microphone. My name's Connie Marsh. I live up on Squawk. And I guess the theme today is transparency to the public and ease of the public to understand, come, get to things. And then I see on this agenda that perhaps there would be a consideration of a new order of business so that the public might not have to just hang around for a couple of hours as other things happen before they get to the meat of the agenda, which I think is a great idea. The title does not really speak to something that a normal human would understand, which brings me to my next theme of the titles on these agendas need to be something that a mere mortal who is reading them could say, wow, I have an idea of whether I would be interested in taking my time to read that. So the next lead-in for that exact thing is Agenda Bill 8522, Community Investment Strategy Park Project Design and Construction Management Project, right? It is only because I read, frankly, everything, because I know how sneaky the language can be, that I read this and realized that it was actually the scoping for the downtown parks, all those memorial ped park things, which is a huge improvement. It's a huge amount of money, and it's a lot of impact and potentially really positive change to Old Town and especially the downtown merchants. However, in reading that scoping, it was very difficult to see how the community was going to be engaging in this project. So I also would like to see this brought down so that there could be some language provided to the world to say how the Old Town is going to be addressed, as the merchants especially, because this could have, impacts, and it could make it great, and they're going to want to basically own it because it's their part of town. So I think it's just so integral that they learn from the beginning. And this would be step one of the public engagement. Where it is right now, no public engagement, right? Even though you might put it on a list and say this is public engagement, no one would read that and say, gee, I know what we're talking about here and I'm going to come down. These guys, I sent them an email because I'm that way, right? We need to know. And so if you could bring it down and then maybe somebody could do a little bit of a information on how it's going to flow through the public, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate your comments, Connie. And I don't see anyone else in here that probably wants to make comments. Do we have anybody else online, clerk?
Just staff.
Okay, fantastic. So we heard from Dia, who talked about the recent downtown promotions and also the downtown park project. We also heard from a community member talking about ease of access of information on our agenda and the new business item, and then also comments on that parks project that is currently on the consent agenda. Really appreciate the comments. So as a reminder, written comments can be submitted at any time. All you need to do to reach all of us is to email citycouncil@issaquah.gov. And so the next item on our business agenda is committee and regional reports, and we will start with Councilmember Joe.
Thank you, Pro Tem Mayor Walsh. Today, the CWA, the Cascade Water Alliance Finance Committee, met and we went through the entire employee handbook, looking at a couple of minor changes that were in there. On the 25th of this month, the Cascade Water Alliance Board will be meeting, and no agenda has been set at this point, but information can be found on the Cascade Water Alliance webpage. Thank you.
Excellent. Councilmember DiMichele.
Thank you. On January 10th, I attended an orientation for new members of the King County Regional Transit Committee. Our first meeting of 2023 is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. Anyone interested can follow the RTC on the county streaming video service or YouTube. On January 13th, I attended the Eastside Transportation Partnership meeting. I was surprised to be nominated and elected vice chair of ETP. Kenmore Mayor Herbig will serve as the chair. Attendees received an extensive progress report on the I-520 project, and I have forwarded the slides to the council, and I would be happy to share the slideshow with anyone who is interested. Just contact me through my council email, which can be found on the city's website. And then this afternoon, I co-chaired the Connect to Community Advisory Group, which is overseeing the Healthcare Community Information Exchange, or CIE, being developed for King County. We welcome new staff leadership as well as new members to the group and participated in discussions about the progress of the project, which is, I have to say, is very impressive. At this point, they're predicting that they will do a soft launch of this platform in Q1 of this year. And so we're all, I think, all 40 members of the advisory group are really, really excited about this. So again, if you would like more information about what a communications information exchange is and how it works, I would be glad to talk to anybody about it. Just contact me and I will give you a lot more information about what it is. Thank you.
Okay, and next, Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you. On January 4th, the Planning, Development, and Environment Committee met. We had one item, which was ID 1092, the Contractor Code of Conduct, and we recommended approval of this item, and we recommended that it come back to the council on consent. So it is on our planning calendar to come back on consent at the February 6th meeting as AB 8537, Contractor Code of Conduct for Private Development Projects. During the meeting, we had two topics that we focused on. One was about how to make sure that people got the information about the construction that was going on and knew who to contact if they did have any concerns. So for that, we liked the idea of having these QR codes that would be on a sign, and people would, if they had a question or concern, or they were worried about the hours that noise complaints, for example, about the hours that construction was going on, then they would know all the information right there, and they could use the QR code to get more information. And we did not think that mailing flyers out to the neighbors would be the most effective, or at least we thought we should live with the QR codes for a while and make sure that people are getting the information that way and start there. And that was also based on feedback. We got feedback both from the developers as well as community feedback on this, and in both cases there was concern about needing to do those mailers and then also overwhelming people with mail. So that was one thing that we discussed, and the other thing that we discussed was that we are interested in having a different conversation about contractors on public projects and how to make sure that people know who to reach out if they have concerns about those, and how to make sure the public is informed about those. And so that complementary conversation will come back to the committee at a different time, and we will have that on an agenda at a future meeting, probably in the spring. Then on our next upcoming meeting of the Planning, Development, and Environment Committee, we return to Title 18. We have ID 1307, Title 18, Executive Summary and Overview, and ID 1327, amending IMC 3.74, Impact Fee Study Update Frequency. And we do, as of now, on the planning calendar, have a executive session as well for that meeting. And this is, I'll note too, this is the second meeting in this month of the Planning, Development, and Environment Committee, which we do not usually have, but that is to address Title 18, which we really want to continue moving forward. I have two other reports. On January 13th, I chaired the K4C Outreach Committee as Mayor Polly, who is usually the chair, was not able to make it. And one thing I wanted to raise for my colleagues on the council is that the K4C will be, which is the King County Climate Collaborative, they will be King County Cities Climate Collaborative. They will be tracking the different bills that are at the state legislature having to do with climate, and especially those that are impacting cities. And so they are going to have a tracking sheet and want to make sure that that information gets out about hearings and when different opportunities arise for different advocacy. So if you are interested in that, please let me know and I can make sure that you have that information. They want to make sure everybody has the same information and has all those opportunities. And then I have one additional upcoming meeting on January 19th, which is this coming Thursday. There will be a meeting of the Salmon Recovery Council of WIRA 8, which is the technical name of our watershed. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Ray.
Thank you, Council President Walsh. The Eastside Fire and Rescue Board of Directors met on January 12th. We started the meeting by celebrating/recognizing 3 promotions. We promoted 2 individuals in Eastside to captain and 1 to lieutenant. That was very exciting. We also received an update on PFAS from the fire chief. Some exciting regular business in terms of revisions to the audit officer for Eastside Fire and Rescue. And then just in general administrative items, the Eastside Fire and Rescue has published their strategic plan, which we worked on last year. And I believe Deputy Council President Hall has a little show and tell to do with the report. If everybody's interested, please see the Deputy Council President. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Mertz.
Thank you, Council President Walsh. The Sound Cities Association Public Issues Committee met virtually on Wednesday, January 11th at 7 p.m. No actions were taken or scheduled. The Council Services, Safety, and Parks Committee will meet at a special time and date next Monday, January 23rd, here at Council Chambers, starting at 6:30. The agenda will include possible reorganization or dissolution of the City Cemetery Board, as well as recommendations for 2023 Arts Grant funding. This concludes my report.
Thank you. Deputy Council President Hall.
No report, but I will pass down this hard copy of the E1 strategic plan in case anyone wants to take a look. Thanks.
And I'll just do my quick report. I attended the Growth Management Policy Board on January 5th from 10 a.m. to noon. We received 3 informational updates, and the next meeting of that group, the GMPB, is on February 2nd, again from 10 to noon, virtual. Next item on our agenda is the mayor's report. There is no executive session planned for this evening. We are seeking salary commission members. So recruitment for positions on the city's independent salary commission is underway. This independent commission is charged with reviewing and setting the city council compensation. The commission is expected to begin meeting in April and complete its report by June 30th. Please note, qualified applicants must be a King County registered voter and a resident of Issaquah for at least 1 year prior to the appointment. No officer, official, or employee of the city or any of their immediate family members may serve on the commission. Current board and commission members are not eligible to apply. Applications will be accepted until 5 p.m. February 1st. Please contact the mayor's office or email tina.issaquahwa.gov for further information. Legislative Action Days reminder. Council members, please let staff know if you will be attending City Action Days in Olympia, February 15th to 16th. I'm going. I'd be happy to carpool with anybody. Reminder, upcoming committee meetings. So as a reminder, the first City Council committee meetings of the year are upon us. There are special meetings due to date changes, and the first Services, Safety, and Parks Committee meeting is on Monday, January 23rd. The first Planning, Development, and Environment Committee, well, technically the second, is on Tuesday, January 24th. Next item, AB 8522, Park Bid Approval Scope. So tonight, the council will consider AB 8522 concerning the Community Investment Strategy Park Project Design and Construction Contract with Methuen. The City Council approved this project last fall on October 17th, which was AB 8488. directing staff to proceed with the community investment park projects utilizing ARPA funds and other funding sources. Given that the ARPA funding timeline, the goal is to complete the project, the pedestrian park and senior center plaza improvements, by the end of 2024. Through discussions with council last fall, it was identified that the chosen projects would need to proceed directly into design and permitting in order to meet this tight timeline. This contract with Methuen is for the full project design, bidding, and support with construction management throughout the length of the project through 2024. A focused level of public outreach will also take place during the design process over these next 3 months. Along with park board discussions, outreach will include work with downtown businesses and nonprofits such as DIA, the Chamber, and Creative District, the senior center customers, neighbors, and other interested community members. Ongoing communication will also take place throughout the bidding and construction of this project in 2024. That will primarily be the responsibility of the city project manager, not necessarily a task within this contract. And the AWC scholarship nominee. The city has selected Rishi Hazra as our nominee for the Association of Washington Cities Center for Quality Communities Scholarship. Rishi is Skyline High School's ASB president and is a regular youth member on the Issaquah Environment Board. We wish Rishi luck in the selection process and thank him for his outstanding service to our community. And then we've got 2 upcoming community events, the Sustainability Open House. So on January 30th at 6:30 p.m., join the mayor at Gibson Hall for an update on the sustainability state of the city. Learn more about current city sustainability initiatives, the environmental board, and get involved with environmental groups in the city. Following the speaking portion of the event, the audience will be released to take action. Booths will be available where participants can sign up to get involved. And then donate blood. Sign up to donate blood at a mobile pop-up blood drive with Bloodworks Northwest and save a life. Time slots are available all day on January 23rd or 24th. Learn more and sign up at bloodworksnw.org. Okay, so that is the mayor's report. Moving on. Next item of business is the consent calendar. The consent calendar was distributed to council in advance. If authorized, the items on the consent calendar will be considered together and approved by one motion. Have the payrolls and payable been reviewed?
They have.
And they have. Does any council member desire to remove any items from the consent calendar and consider it under regular business? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the consent calendar as presented in tonight's agenda.
Second.
Excellent. The motion to approve the consent calendar as presented has been moved and seconded. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, the motion before council is to approve the consent calendar as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes unanimously. The next item of business is regular business, but there's no regular business this evening. So we've got new business. ID 1325, new business request, city council meetings, order of business update. So this is a new business item. This is something that the council uses when a council member wants to propose an item. At this time, all we're considering is the introduction of this. We're not saying whether we support the conceptual idea, just whether or not we want to take it forward. So the City Council's Rules of Procedure provides for a new business request process. The first step is considered the introduction phase and allows the advocating council member to provide a verbal presentation. So Deputy Council President Hall will introduce tonight's item. Following the presentation, the City Council will decide whether to pursue the proposal further. Approval by a majority of the City Council is required to continue consideration of the item and direct the administration to gather additional information. Upon approval, this item will be scheduled at a future council meeting under new business for a preliminary staff response. Deputy Council President Hall, take it away.
Thank you very much. Hi, Council. So I have some quick introductory remarks, and then I'll throw it back to you all to see what you think. So it was included in the packet tonight, but as you know, our current approach to running meetings here at the City Council is to start with special business and public comment and reports and informational items before we get to the real meat of the meeting. And I think some of those items are in the right place and contribute positively to how we start our meetings. But there are some problems that I've identified that we could address by updating how we structure our order of business. And I use the word problems, but they're not really problems. They're more areas for improvement. So just a note there. A couple of those are, one, because our business items of the meetings are considered so late, it's sometimes the case that we're making important decisions later in the evening. Two, as a result, community members and staff and consultants who attend council meetings to engage in city business, which could be actively engaging or just listening in, also have to wait until later in the evening. And as such, I think that restructuring our order of business could help solve some of these problems. And in preparation for our discussion tonight, I wrote a quick memo that includes, one, how councils in the region structure their order of business, because I thought you'd be interested in that. And then two, a side-by-side view of our current structure and then a proposed structure that I've included, though I'll just note that I'm not attached to this ordering precisely. We can certainly get into it. I also have a couple of questions I thought that we should consider. First, are there any, and this is just for your information to show that I've kind of thought through some of these things. Again, we're not going to be getting into the nitty-gritty tonight. But first, are there any business items or reports in particular that should come earlier in the meeting? So like, for example, the mayor's report often references specific agenda bills or informational items in the consent calendar. So that might be important to keep up. Also, we've mostly transitioned away or toward written informational updates, but if we were to schedule something, it's possible that staff or consultants would be waiting until the end of the meeting to give their presentations. And then also from my perspective, I think it makes sense to keep special business and public comments up top because for most of the public who are coming to attend our meetings in person, those are the items that they're coming for. So that's first. Second question is also if we place our committee and regional reports next to good of the order towards the end of the meeting, could that help us better encourage questions and conversations about the content of our reports? And I'll give credit to Councilmember Hunt for bringing up that question to me, and I think it's a good one worth talking about. Anyways, this is just a quick intro to ask if you think this is worth exploring in an upcoming council meeting. If so, I think we'd all be interested in any feedback from the administration or the clerk's office. I do want to thank in particular our city clerk and our deputy city administrator for providing some informal feedback they've already given me, which helped frame some of these questions in my mind. And with that, that's all I got, and I'll pass it off to council.
Great. So we've heard a presentation. Again, this is just, do we consider whether we want to hear more about this and talk about it? So are there any questions or a motion? Councilmember DiMichele?
Thank you. I move to forward the City Council meeting's order of business update, new business item to the February 6th council meeting for preliminary staff response.
Second.
Okay, the motion has been moved and seconded. Is there any council discussion? Councilmember Hunt.
I'll keep it brief. I think this is absolutely something we should consider doing, and I think for all the reasons that were raised, having us not making important decisions as late in the evening, many people will be here for the regular business items. This is our regular business meeting, and I think we should get to those items sooner. So I appreciate that this was brought forward and very supportive, and looking forward to seeing this come back for the vote on the real thing. Thanks.
Councilmember Ray.
I don't have really strong feelings one way or the other, but I do have some observations I'd just like to share. One is, in addition to the mayor's report, committee reports often do inform consent, and so there's some value in having them before consent also. And then it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of difference in terms of time. It's not like we spend 25 minutes on committee reports. We usually move through them fairly smartly, so it's not a huge amount of time difference. And then the flip side is also true. I mean, we do spend a lot of time on our committee reports explaining to the public what we're doing and what our committees are doing and the regional involvement. And so we'll be pushing that to a smaller audience too. So I don't have any, it doesn't go like, oh, this is horrible, but I'm not sure that it moves the needle significantly either. So just wanted to get that out there. And then I'm anxious to see what we get back from the staff.
Great. Councilmember Mertz.
Yeah, I'm probably in the same boat as Councilmember Ray. I'm not sure I'm happy to have a conversation. I'm not sure how much we can move the needle. I mean, if we have a, 4-hour council meeting, moving around the committee reports or whatever isn't going to fundamentally change the fact that some of the conversations that the public will be interested in will occur in the 4th hour of the evening. But I would certainly be interested to know what the state of the art is, and if there are other communities in our area that are have a more effective way. I love the part of our discussions with the public where we get general information from staff before taking public comment, because so much of the time they provide information that really helps the public understand and allows that feedback to be more focused and meaningful. So, as we go forward, I would certainly really hope to continue to get, as we get directed feedback from the public, that it occurs after, we get the informational side of the conversation, but before we all start chiming in with our nickel's worth of opinions. Thanks.
Councilmember Joe.
Thank you. I really appreciate the clerk's office and Deputy Council President Hall looking at this. I think it's always great that we're looking at ways to streamline the information and streamline our meetings. So I'm generally supportive of moving this forward. Just a reminder to everyone, of course, that by consent, we as council members can change the items in the agenda anytime we want. So if there is something that's a priority, we can always move it up, and that's always to our discretion along the way as well.
And I will just add in, I'm really interested in how we run our meetings in a way that is most accessible to the public and most supports our staff and best decision making. So beyond just, hey, here's the order of what we're doing business, I would hope that we take a moment to just question, should we be doing all of these things? Are they continuing to serve the purpose, and are there any other things that other cities are doing or other organization meeting best practices would be helpful to adopt? So my ask would be that we don't just look at order, but also what should be there. Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you. In both Council Deputy President Hall and also in Councilmember Ray's comments, there was raised this issue about sometimes we have something on consent that our committee report would have mentioned or that the mayor's report would have provided information. I did see that there was a lot of other cities that have this order with the regional reports towards the end, and so that might be something just to look at. How do they address that? Because I'm sure they have similar situation. We're not the only city that has both consent and regional reports, and so if we move it to that order, it would be great just to see how they do that. We do have the opportunity at consent. It's called on, does anyone have any comments? I mean, we could think through, is that the best way to do it? If you have to say what the committee, what the committee's point was on that, for example. But it would be great to know how other cities do that, and that might be something to bring back when this comes back to address that concern.
Great. I know we don't usually look over to staff, but just seeing clerk, since I know you're going to be doing some research on this, do you have everything that you need on this item? And City Administrator Bobkowitz?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just a clarification, I believe the next meeting is merely to decide if you wish to discuss it further.
I believe that's what this is do we want to have staff pull together a response and have a meeting where we really do discuss?
I'll ask the city clerk, just make sure we're clear with the steps.
Yes, the next meeting would be an opportunity for the staff to provide a formal written response to the proposal, at which point the council would then be asked to determine whether this should go on the work plan officially and send it to committee or whatever that next step might be.
So my understanding of that rule is that we would give a general response, not
Okay.
specific research. And we would wait for the council to determine, and then if it goes to committee of the whole, we would have that for you at
Got
that
it.
time.
Just wanted to see whether we needed to keep track of these comments at this time for the February 6th, but it sounds like not. So if there is no other discussion, the motion before the council is to forward the city council meeting's order of business update new business item to the February 6th council meeting for a preliminary staff response. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? No one. That passes unanimously. The next item of business is good of the order. So we've got ID 1322, the 2023 City Council appointments, and exception to City Council rules of procedure. So basically, the way that, let's see, seeing if there are any other, So we last year updated the City Council rules of procedure, which included directives on preferring that council leadership and the committee chairs only served on one committee, and then the other two members served on two committees. At this point, in order to satisfy everyone's interests and not overburden some council members with meetings, we think that the best opportunity would be to have Deputy Council President Hall serve on two committees as a member, so that Councilmember Joe only needs to serve on one committee because he has so many regional dedicated seat appointments that he's serving on. So as a balance of meetings, that was our proposal. And so let me also just announce the appointments that I have recommended here. So for standing committees, the Mobility and Infrastructure Committee would be chaired by Councilmember Ray, with members Councilmember DeMichelle and Hall. The Planning, Development, and Environment Committee would be chaired by Councilmember Hunt, with myself and Deputy Council President Hall as members. And then the Services, Safety, and Parks Committee would be chaired by Councilmember Martz, with members DeMichelle and Joe. And then we also have several dedicated seats. The Cascade Water Alliance Board, our appointment would be Councilmember Joe. Eastside Fire and Rescue, Deputy Council President Hall and Councilmember Martz, with Councilmember Ray as an alternate. Eastside Transportation Partnership, Councilmember DeMichelle. Greater Issaquah Chamber of Commerce Liaison, Councilmember Joe. King County Cities Climate Collaboration, K4C representative, alternate would be Councilmember Hunt. The Lake Sammamish Kokanee Interlocal Management Committee, Councilmember Hunt. Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, Councilmember Joe. And the Wyra 8 Salmon Recovery Council, Councilmember Hunt. Included in this appointment schedule is also the council member payroll and payables schedule, where we each have, I think, 3 or 4 months where we are reviewing that portion as a part of the consent calendar. So I've explained the need for the exception. Is there any discussion or a motion on this item? I believe there is a motion in email if there is, or in the packet. Okay, Councilmember DeMichelle.
Found it. I move to approve an exception to the City Council Rule of Procedure, Section 2.04, appointments, standing committees, to allow a member of council leadership to be appointed to 2 standing committees in 2023.
Second.
Fantastic. Is there any council discussion on this? Councilmember Joe.
Thank you. This past year, I had the pleasure of serving as the alternate for the Cascade Water Alliance while the mayor was the primary member for that. I'm stepping up to the position of the regular member. Looks like the alternate spot is open, so if anyone has more time on their hands on would like to step in as the alternate, I will be going to the majority of the meetings. You won't have to do much, but it's always good to have a deep bench and to have other people trained to take a position if something were to happen to the primary person.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other discussion, so the motion before council is to approve an exception to the City Council Rule of Procedure, Section 2.04, Appointment Standing Committees, to allow a member of council leadership to be appointed to 2 standing committees in 2023. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes unanimously. Okay, and then I've just got a few upcoming council meetings, and I guess this is good of the order, so we'll also open it up in case anybody has any other items. So upcoming council meetings, as earlier announced, there will be a Services, Safety, and Parks Committee with these new members held next Monday, January 23rd, and a Planning, Development, and Environment Committee meeting held next Tuesday, January 24th. On Saturday, January 28th, the City Council has our retreat at 9 a.m. at Tibbetts Creek Manor. You will be getting a memo ahead of time. There will be homework, not as much as the budget meeting, but there will be some homework. And then February 6th, the regular City Council meeting. The anticipated agenda items include a public hearing on amending the impact and mitigation fees. So are there any other good of the order items tonight? We've got a quiet council tonight. Okay. There is no executive session, so there being no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 7:42 p.m. Thank you.